right, so everyone knows how to play, right?
Yep.
Yep. All right, and hey, Jeff, don't think I didn't forget about last time. No cheating, all right? I'm keeping my eye on you. Okay, here we go. Everybody ready? Up and down the river we go to fetch a pail of water. Careful where you dump it out. Don't want to be laughed at by an otter. I didn't see that coming. Okay, I'll start. And that's one. Here's another. Coming at ya. Yahtzee! Taking this one, boys. Again! How are you so good at this game? I'm keeping my eye on you for round 2, though. You're not running away with this one. I'm sorry. Can't help it. When you're good, you're good. Okay. All right, my deal. We'll see who gets lucky this time. Ready? Up and down the river we go to fetch a pail of water. Careful where you dump it out. Don't want to be laughed at by an otter.
That is one weird, lonely little man.
Laughed at by an otter. What's up, everyone? I'm so glad to see all of your smiling faces here today. We're closing out our Lifelines series tonight, and just to make sure everyone is caught up real quick, in this series we've been talking about how the best friendships, like godly friendships, are the friendships that feel like lifelines. Like they're relationships that you can hang on to, count on, and trust. And for the first couple of weeks we talked about how godly friendships let you be real and how godly friendships help you grow. And now this week, as we close out this series, we're talking about how godly friendships never leave you all alone. And we've been talking about how great friendships should be lifelines when we need help. And kind of like how a safety net around a trampoline protects you, great friends should be there when you bounce, when you fall, when you can't get back on your feet, and when you need someone to laugh or honestly to cry with. But there are going to be times in your life when you feel like you're jumping with no net, like no group of friends around to keep you safe and secure. Sometimes you're going to feel alone. And that can be really scary because we aren't created to be alone. And what's really scary is that in our world, loneliness is only becoming a bigger problem. In fact, only a few years ago, Time magazine called loneliness the next big public health issue. And that's not without reason. Like studies show that 80%, 4 out of 5 of middle and high school students, that's you guys, have reported feelings of loneliness. And 66%, that's 2 out of 3 of middle and high school students would say that loneliness is a serious problem for them. And what's crazy is it's only getting worse. We are the most connected generation in the world technologically, and yet relationally, we've never been more disconnected, and we've never felt more alone. Why is that? Like, why is it so easy to feel lonely? I'll be honest, I think like the more time that we spend on our phones and on social media and online, the more time that we spend comparing. And when we're constantly comparing ourselves to the people around us rather than relating to the people around us, we end up competing with the people around us. Like, let me say that again. When we're constantly comparing ourselves to the people around us rather than relating to the people around us, we end up competing with the people around us. And that includes our friends. We enter a default mode where our friends become competition instead of lifelines. And what happens is we end up putting up barriers and walls without even realizing it that surround us. They lock us in and they keep everyone else out. And that's a lonely way to live. But thankfully, there's a way out of loneliness. And thankfully, we don't have to settle for loneliness. Jesus, he was no stranger to loneliness, but he also wasn't a stranger to great friends either. In the book of John, chapter 11, we read the story about a crisis where Lazarus, a much-loved friend of Jesus, has died. And now Jesus, he wants to go back to the place that he was buried at, but his disciples know that going back is dangerous because the Jews living in Judea, this area, saw Jesus as a threat. And in fact, they tried to murder Jesus already last time he was there. And so the disciples, they asked Jesus, like, hey, Jesus, you said Judea? Was it? Like, you want to go back to Judea? Yeah, cool. But don't you remember what happened last time we went? Maybe why we shouldn't go back this time? Like, you probably remember God, right? Yeah, you don't want to die and stuff. And of course, Jesus knew Judea wasn't safe, but he had more important things to worry about than physical safety. Like, he was worried about his friends. Like Mary and Martha, remember them? And the rest of Jesus' friends, they were facing a loss, and Jesus, he wanted them to be together. He wanted to show his friends how things go when they stick together. And one of Jesus' disciples, Thomas, was like, you know what? All right, let's go. If we die, at least we'll die together. And now I don't exactly recommend like following your friends to certain death, but Jesus and Thomas show us something really important about friendship in this story. And when you stick together, you feel less alone. And hey, if Jesus did this for his disciples, don't you think he'd do it for you too? Like if Jesus shows us that he'll never leave his friends all alone, don't you think the same is true for you? There are a lot of moments in life that can make us feel isolated and alone, but we don't have to stay that way. When we're afraid or grieving or alone, Jesus gives us himself, and he gives us each other too, which is so amazing that God created us to be fulfilled and loved and valued through him and our Lifeline friends. Like, it's so awesome, but isn't it terrible how because of comparison and competition, instead of doing life together like we were created to do, we are running from the very people that God created us for? Let me just say, there is a better way, like a better way to do friendship, a better way to do relationship. And I don't want to hear like, I just don't like people. Like, people are the worst. I'm just like a free bird flying solo on my own. Like, if that's you, I'm sorry you feel that way. Or I'm sorry that you've been hurt by people around you and that you've bought into this lie that you can't trust anyone or that you'd be better off alone. And I'm asking you right now to take a step of faith into community with God and the people around you like you were created for, because loneliness will only make you bitter. And I've seen so many bitter people in my life who blame everyone but themselves, because within our own walls we can do no wrong, right? Like, loneliness will make you bitter, but lifelines will make you better. Like, no matter who you are or where you're coming from, there are going to be times that are lonely. There will be times when you need a few more people to gather around you and to lift you up. So can I just encourage you, when you feel that way, like when you feel alone, to be brave enough to lift your voice and tell someone here about it, and just watch what happens. Like, watch your mind be blown at the unexpected love that comes pouring in from these people around you, because we care about you, because we love you, because we want to be a lifeline for you that lifts you up and points you towards Jesus. Like, that's what we're doing here. When life feels lonely, it's easy to believe that lie, that you're alone or unsupported, maybe even unworthy of friendship. But that's why God wants to give us a lifeline of community. Like, when you feel alone, godly friendships remind you that you belong to a community of people who love you, who are fighting for you, and who are willing to sacrifice for you. Like, wouldn't it be incredible to know that you have friendships like that? Like, people who will never leave you all alone? And if you're not sure if you have friends like that right now in your life, here's what I want you to do. First, just get alone with Jesus. He is offering the same friendship to you that he offered to Lazarus and Mary and Martha and his disciples. Like, he came to earth to live, die, and live again for you, and he's invited you into this family. Like, let him be your first lifeline of love and friendship. And then second, tell someone you feel alone. Like, maybe it's an adult in this room, or maybe it's a friend. Like, let them know that you're struggling, or that you want deeper friendships, or that you feel alone, or that you can like really use a lifeline right now. And if you don't feel alone right now, if you have a great group of friends, I hope you look around this room and just ask, who can I be Jesus to? Like, who can I run to when they're feeling alone? Who in my life can I be a lifeline to right now? Like, remember, godly friendships never leave us to feel alone. So let's stick together, because we need each other. This video will make a lot more sense when it's all together. Just for everyone listening. Again! Yep, Okay. Spit out, don't want to be laughed at by an otter.